I want to let you know that this story deals with sensitive and emotional topics. Please watch with care if you find such content difficult. For a child, a birthday party is one of the safest places in the world, folks. It's a room sealed with joy, filled with the sound of laughter, the scent of cake, and the warmth of family. It's a bubble of pure celebration. But what happens when, in less than a second, the walls of that safe place become the weapon? What happens when the celebration is shattered by an unthinkable sound? Quick thing before we start, where are you watching from right now? What time is it there? What's the weather like? And tell me, what case do you want next? Leave it in the comments. I go through everyone. Make sure you're subscribed. Let's go. Stick with me on this one, because what you're about to hear will shake you to your core. On the afternoon of April 20th, 2024, the Swan Boat Club in Berlin Township, Michigan, was the picture of community happiness. Nestled near the shores of Lake Erie, it was a place for gatherings, for friendship, for family. Inside one of its halls, a special party was underway. Balloons bobbed against the ceiling. Brightly colored tablecloths were covered in presents and sweets. Children, buzzing with sugar and excitement, ran and played while their parents watched on, capturing memories on their phones. It was a scene you could find in any town on any given Saturday. It was normal, it was perfect, and then folks, it was over in a heartbeat. The first sound was a roar, an engine revving far too loud, far too close. It was a sound that didn't belong. Before anyone could turn their head to the window, before a single thought could form, the north wall of the building simply ceased to exist. It didn't just break, it exploded inward in a shower of cinder block, wood, and glass. A dark blue SUV, moving with impossible force, launched into the room. It didn't slow down. It didn't swerve. It plowed through tables and chairs, through the very space where children had been playing moments before, coming to a stop deep inside the heart of the party. For a single, deafening moment, there was silence. The kind of silence that rushes in after a blast, thick with dust and disbelief. The music was gone, the laughter was gone. Then a new sound began to build. It started as a moan, then a cry, then an eruption of raw, primal screams. The joyful party had become a scene of absolute chaos. Parents frantically searched for their children amidst the debris. First responders, arriving within minutes, were met with a scene that no amount of training could prepare them for. It was pure devastation where a birthday cake should have been. They saw the vehicle, its front end mangled, sitting impossibly inside the building. They saw the injured, dazed, and confused. They saw the terror in the eyes of survivors who couldn't process what they had just witnessed. In the midst of the chaos, as emergency crews worked to save lives and make sense of the wreckage, one horrifying question hung in the air, heavier than the dust that choked it. How did this happen? What force, what failure, what terrible twist of fate could drive a car through a wall and into the middle of a child's birthday party? Investigators knew one thing for certain: the answer had to be found. For the people whose lives were just torn apart, nothing else mattered. And believe me, you're going to want to hear what they discovered. You know, in a cop's report, they just call them casualties. Nothing more than names and numbers on paper. Victims of a fatal crash. But let's get real for a second. If you want to understand the real weight of what got ripped away that day, you got to see past all that chaos and look at who these kids really were. Don't tune out now. Stick with me. This tragedy, it wasn't about stats. It was about the world losing Alana Phillips and her little brother Zane. Alana was 8 years old, a bright, creative kid just starting to figure out who she was. Her world, full of color, imagination, art projects everywhere you looked. She was always busy, making something new, leaving little bits of love all around for her family and friends. She was the kind of big sister every little bro dreams about, always got a fresh idea, always ready to stir up the next adventure, teaching Zane dance moves or building epic pillow forts. She was the planner, the gentle heart out front, leading the way. Zane was 5. If Alana brought the color, Zane was the wild streak. Pure energy, non-stop giggles. Following his big sis everywhere she went, looking at her like she was a superhero. He was the kid who got dirt on his jeans and came home with treasures in his pockets, the kind of little dude whose hugs could turn any bad day around. In his fam, he was their little man, the cure for everything. Together, these two were more than just siblings. They were partners in crime in the very best way. She was the calm, he was the spark, and their love was the real backbone of the family. Their world was wide open. Every day seemed like a brand new chance for adventure. That party at the Swan Boat Club, just another big score on their map, a day they'd been counting down to with that pure, sky-high excitement only kids can really feel. That's what was stolen. They weren't just faces in a news story. They were a promise, a future, a whole family's universe wrapped up in two shining souls. And as the first responders fought through the wreckage, trying to bring some sort of order to the nightmare inside that shattered building, the truth started to hit. The investigation was no longer just about a car crash. It was about getting justice for Alana and Zane, the two little lights blown out for absolutely no reason. Now, the question wasn't just how, it was who? Who could be responsible for something so senseless, so off the rails, it nearly can't be believed? And let me tell you folks, the search for that answer was just getting started. As paramedics and cops swarmed the scene, their attention was split. Some hustled to help the wounded, while others locked down the whole area. And right in the middle of all that chaos sat the dark blue SUV, finally quiet, engine dead. Inside, slumped behind the wheel, was the person holding all the answers. But here's the twist. She wasn't some monster or faceless villain from a nightmare. Nah, she was a 66-year-old grandma, someone the local folks actually knew. Her name? Marcella Chittister. And get this, she was a longtime member of the Swan Boat Club. This wasn't some random freak crashing in from nowhere. The driver was one of their own. Now, when cops first reached her, Marcella looked out of it totally spaced, like she didn't get how much damage she'd just caused. The law enforcement officer's body cams caught all of it. And listen up, because what she said in those first crucial minutes was what her whole defense would come down to. She didn't confess. Instead, she claimed it was a medical catastrophe.
They're on their way. Which one? Right there. Can you come with me just for a second? Are you driving? Are you driving car? What? Can you come with me just for a second? Okay? Yes, I can. Are you okay? I think so. Okay. I think so. Okay. This one out here? I got you. Where are you going? What happened?
I passed out.
Okay. Have you been feeling ill or anything like that?
Yes.
What kind of medical conditions do you have?
Seizures.
Seizures? Okay. Going around here?
No, not really. I pulled into the parking lot and I thought I was driving up to the boat club, and evidently I was driving right into the pavilion.
Which direction did you drive from?
I live right down the street.
Okay, so you were coming from that way?
Yes.
This way? When you got to the parking lot, what happened?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you think there's a reason you don't remember? Did something happen, or?
You know what? I have these seizures, and
Okay. Do you have anything where it says, like, maybe that, does your doctor permit you to drive and everything?
I'm cleared to drive now, and I don't have my purse with me, but I do have a card in my purse.
Okay. When's the last time you had a seizure that you know of?
March.
In March?
Yeah. I had it at home, and then I did have one when I was in the hospital.
When you're in the hospital? Okay. Do you think is your normal behavior when you have a seizure? Is it have lapses of memory? Do you,
Yes.
Okay. So once you got to the parking lot, you don't remember anything.
I don't.
Okay.
A seizure, a lost chunk of memory. That was Marcella's opening explanation for the unthinkable. She insisted she'd had seizures in the past, and just like that, her brain blanked everything out. According to her, she remembered pulling into the boat club's lot, and next thing she knew, bam, she was surrounded by mayhem. If true, dang, that's terrifying. It'd mean the whole thing was nothing but a horrible medical fluke. In that case, there'd be no villain at all, just victims, her included. But let's get real for a second. Just because you say something doesn't make it fact. That's what investigators knew from the jump. Claiming you can't remember is one of the oldest tricks out there. So, the cops weren't letting this ride. They needed to figure out if Marcella really zoned out from a wonky brain, or if she cooked up a lie to dodge the heat. The line between a true medical emergency and a crime is razor thin, y'all. This was just the start of the digging. Every word, every gesture, detectives would break it all down. The real truth? That was going to get pried out in a cold, no-nonsense interrogation room, bit by bit. That's where things would get real, so don't go anywhere, true crime fans. The next steps would bring more jaw-dropping surprises. The chaos at the crime scene slowly fades into the harsh glare of the interrogation room lights. This right here? This is the real test. It's where you strip away the drama and let the truth simmer, bit by bit, as the questions keep coming. Now, Marcella Chittister isn't just another confused grandma at a crash site. She's the center of a death investigation. She's facing detectives whose only job is to dig all the way down to the facts, no matter how hard she tries to dodge them. And if you're still here, folks, get ready. This part's going to be tense. First things first, detectives need a timeline. Every move she made that day, every stop, every decision, from morning until that moment when everything fell apart. When they started pressing her, though, it was like hitting a brick wall.
All right. When you're done at Verna's, where did you go to?
Went to the boat club.
Straight to the boat club.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
They were having a birthday party.
so you woke up in the police car.
Yeah.
Okay. And then basically we know the events after that.
No, I don't recall anything prior to that at all.
Okay. So that's why I'm trying to get a full account of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So from 12:10, we didn't go directly to the boat club. We went home. Did we go to the store? Did we go to a friend's house? What did we do during that time?
I don't know. I don't know. I know that the party started at 3 o'clock, the birthday party. So I was there a little bit before that.
I don't know. That's all she said, over and over. Think about it, a grown woman, sitting there with the fate of her whole life in the balance, and she just kept repeating that she couldn't remember. Was this real? Genuine amnesia from a seizure? Or just the oldest dodge in the game, a memory that suddenly quits when the heat is on? Her blackout didn't just cover the crash, it swallowed the whole afternoon. That's not foggy, folks, that's gone. Now, here's the thing. Amnesia can be a fortress. Outside, nobody knows if you're truly locked inside or if you're using the walls to hide. The sleuths, they were boxed out. No story means no way to check her version, no way to poke holes or catch her in a lie. So, the investigators switched gears. If Marcella wouldn't or couldn't fill in the blanks, they'd do it themselves. Track her down through people who saw her that day. Chase down every receipt, hunt every move. Her memory, it was locked up tight. But the truth always leaves clues. Even if you gotta piece it together using witnesses who never forget, like security cams and blood tests. This was the new direction. If you want a guilty party to come clean, sometimes you gotta let the facts do the talking, and that's what was about to happen next. Stay tuned. While Marcella Chittister was painting a picture of medical blackout in that cold police room, the investigators were busy pulling in witnesses that simply can't be shaken, silent observers that don't care about stories or nerves. I'm talking about security cameras and hard science. And these? They don't forget, they don't lie, and they sure can't be guilt-tripped. They were about to tell a story that was the polar opposite of what Marcella was selling. The first big reveal came from a nearby surveillance camera pointed at the road leading right to the Swan Boat Club. Detectives sat down, coffee in hand, running back the tape from just before the crash. Here's what really went down. Instead of a car swerving or slowing like you might expect from someone having a seizure, the camera caught that dark blue SUV moving like a rocket, dead straight and speeding up. No brakes, no panic, no last-second swerve, just full send, heading straight for the building. It looked less like an accident and more like the wall was the destination. Armed with that hard proof, the kind you just can't argue with, the cops headed back into the interrogation room. And just like that, the game changed. They weren't asking for Marcella's version anymore, they were tossing the receipts on the table. There's no arguing with video. Turns out, her story about already being inside the party before the smash, it didn't fly.
Were you upset with anybody there?
No.
No? Would you intentionally drive your car into the boat club?
No.
No?
No.
I wouldn't be doing my job if I...
No.
So you didn't know anybody there at the party? Because you drove right there.
Right.
And you drove through the wall.
Yes.
So you didn't put a card in the card box.
There might have been a card box on the bar.
You didn't go to the bar.
I did. I did go inside the boat club. Before what I thought the party was starting at 3 o'clock.
Well, what Sergeant Hooper is saying here is that when we got the video, like we said, you didn't park and go in and then go back to your car and then drive into the building. Okay, you come down from where your house is, going very fast, and you just drove right into the building.
See, I don't remember any of that.
Okay.
And then came the destroyer, forensics. Marcella was taken to the hospital for a check after the crash. There, nurses drew her blood and sent it off for a toxicology screen. Look, everybody knows the magic number in Michigan. If you're driving, your blood alcohol content better be under 0.08. Marcella's number, way more than double that legal limit. We're talking full-blown dangerous. The science was crystal clear, a level that meant she was stone-cold drunk, way past the point of making safe choices. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces fit. The wild speed, the locked pedal, the blank-out memory. All of it lined up. Not as signs of a scary brain condition, but the classic red flags of someone hammered behind the wheel. Her medical emergency defense just ran into a brick wall of chemistry and truth. In that moment, what happened in the interrogation room stopped being a guessing game. It became a different question entirely, not what had happened to Marcella, but what Marcella had done to everyone else. This wasn't just a slip. The evidence was calling her out, loud and clear, leaving no room for doubt. Stay tuned, because that wasn't even the end of the bombshells the investigation uncovered. Once detectives had that toxicology report in their hands, everything changed. Fast. Gone were the days of gentle questions and sympathy for a confused grandma. This had turned into a full-on showdown. The cops walked back into that interrogation room carrying facts cold, clear, and brutal. What was in front of Marcella Chittister now wasn't an accident, it was a double homicide, and her story was about to get blown apart. They laid it all out for her, refusing to sugarcoat the impact. 2 children gone, a family shattered, a community completely wrecked. The room got heavy. No more dodging, no more I don't remember. Cops started making it real. This wasn't a routine crash. This was a crime scene, and she needed to face what happened.
Why is that?
You drove your car into a kid's birthday party and killed 2 kids.
Oh, no.
And many more are at the hospital in critical condition right now.
Oh, no.
Adults as well.
I'm looking for the truth, Marcella. The truth needs to come out because you are the most hated person in the whole United States right now. I guarantee this is national news. You are the most, so you need to change that narrative right here. You need to change it. There's only one way you can change it, and that's by telling the truth. I've been doing this for a long time. I've sat across the table from killers before, like really, really bad killers. You're not that person.
And I don't remember. Honestly, I do not remember. I would think I would remember something like that.
Well, you're not being truthful about how much you drank. You're not.
But even when detectives hit her with the unthinkable, telling her face-to-face about those 2 small lives taken, Marcella didn't budge. Her wall of, "I don't remember," stayed thick as ever. She claimed, "I would remember something like that." But that's just the point, right? For someone sober, or even someone struck down by a medical issue, you'd think at least some horror would register. But for people blackout drunk, that type of memory loss can be a side effect, just as dangerous as a seizure, if not worse. With her blood alcohol numbers out in the open, detectives turned up the pressure. They started asking about her drinking, how much, when, what kind. Marcella? She doubled down.
Now, again, these hard questions, Marcella. How often do you drink?
I was drinking quite a bit there, but I've kind of switched over and I'm doing a free now, more so because of the...
What's a free?
It's alcohol-free. Alcohol-free Cabernet.
Alcohol-free Cabernet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like a, I guess it was like a O'Doul's, of wine.
Yeah.
Okay.
She said she drank alcohol-free Cabernet, a heavy claim, considering science said otherwise. It wasn't just a simple denial. It was an attempt to rewrite reality. She wanted folks to believe she was just unlucky, not reckless. But at this point, for the cops, there was no more doubt. They weren't talking to a victim of circumstance. They were dealing with someone who had gotten behind the wheel while hammered, shattered lives, and was now stacking lies onto tragedy. The investigation had reached its bottom line. The truth wasn't going to come from Marcella's mouth. It would come from evidence, and that evidence would carry her all the way to court. Don't go anywhere. The fallout from this next phase is where things got even more explosive. As the interrogation wrapped up, things didn't stay quiet for long. This case, this nightmare at the Swan Boat Club, blew up on the news, first local, then coast to coast. Some stories fade fast, but this one? Nah, it stuck. Why? Because it hit every parent's deepest fear and smashed it wide open, right in front of the world. Suddenly, all eyes were on Berlin Township, Michigan. Reporters dug into every detail, parents hugged their kids tighter, and the celebration that turned into a tragedy was front-page news. Folks needed answers, and not just answers. They demanded real accountability. The days of hush secrets were over.
A 66-year-old woman in Michigan is facing charges following a crash. 15 people were hurt when the driver slammed into a building where a child's birthday party was happening. That driver is facing an initial charge of driving while intoxicated, causing death. Officials say additional charges will likely be brought against her.
The law didn't waste time. Marcella Chittister was hit with 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of operating while intoxicated causing death, and a stack of charges for causing serious injury. The prosecution had zero doubt this was no oops. This was full-on criminal recklessness. Want to talk numbers? Her bond? $1.5 million. That's not just big, that's meant to send a message. She should have been locked up tight, but plot twist. Marcella posted bond. Yup, she was out, chilling at her house, less than a mile from the ruined boat club, ankle monitor and all, waiting for her day in court. For the family of Alana and Zane Phillips, and a heartbroken community, that move hit like salt on an open wound. Their kids were gone, and the woman responsible was back home. No wonder folks were furious. Anger swept the town. In this storm, Marcella did something wild. She agreed to a TV interview, trying to tell her side straight to America.
Well, tonight, a 7 exclusive. For the first time, we are hearing from the driver charged in the Swan Boat Club tragedy, Marcella Chittister, telling us her version of what happened the day she drove her SUV straight into that club. The surveillance video capturing the SUV heading toward the building before it crashed into a birthday party going inside. Well, tonight, Chittister telling 7 News Detroit reporter Ruta Ulsanaida she does not remember what happened behind the wheel.
Why did you decide to sit down with us?
I wanted to just let people know, that I'm so very, very disturbed about the situation, and I don't remember what happened. I can only say that I've been praying for everyone that's been injured.
The driver charged in the Swan Boat Club tragedy, 66-year-old Marcella Chittister, sat down with me at her home just feet from the boat club to discuss what happened behind the wheel. On April 20th, prosecutors say Marcella was drunk and drove her car into the boat club, injuring over a dozen people who were all attending a children's birthday party. She's charged with second-degree murder and operating under the influence causing death. Marcella is a longtime member of the club.
I would never, ever do anything intentional. Never. I mean, that's just not me. And especially to a boat club that I love so much, and I have family and friends there.
Marcella claims she doesn't remember anything due to her medical conditions, which include neuropathy and heart problems. She also says she has a history of seizures, and her memory goes out during her episodes, which is what she says believes happened that day.
I think I had a seizure. I think that the same thing that my husband said that I did when I have a seizure is just go straight. And I think when I got in the car, that's what happened. I just had the seizure and probably put my foot on the accelerator and crashed into the building.
The prosecution disagrees, as made clear in her arraignment a few weeks ago.
There was a preliminary breath test done, which indicated that her blood alcohol level was significantly over the legal limit.
I have a perfect record. I don't even have a parking ticket. I don't have any kind of DUI or speeding ticket.
I wanted to ask why she got behind the wheel that day, about her alcohol use, but when I tried...
April 20th. Just tell me about your entire day and what you did.
But we're interrupted by her attorney, who says the truth will come out in court and that she cannot speak to things she doesn't remember.
I want strict facts.
Marcella posted her $1.5 million bond 3 weeks ago and remains at home with an ankle monitor. That's a point the family of the victims is furious about, and they are still dealing with the devastation of knowing they will never see their 2 children again.
But let's keep it 100. That interview was a train wreck. She tried to say she was disturbed by what happened, claimed a perfect record, but the world saw a woman flat out refusing to own up while families were in pieces. Her words, they moved nobody. If anything, it fired people up even more. Public opinion, game over. As far as the neighborhood was concerned, justice couldn't come fast enough. All eyes now turned to the only thing left, the trial. And trust me, what happened next would get even louder. The verdict from the public was loud, but the one that really mattered, the jury's, was still to come. When Marcella Chittister's trial kicked off, the crowded courtroom became the arena for 2 totally clashing stories. The defense was holding tight to the tragic medical episode, Tale of Seizure, that supposedly flipped a routine day into disaster. But the prosecution? They rolled in with hardcore evidence, footage, and a classroom full of pain from the families left behind. This wasn't just about laws anymore, it was about grief, choices, and demanding accountability. Prosecutors kicked things off with the heavy hitters. First up, the toxicology report. You've heard this number before. The blood alcohol count more than double the legal limit. Experts didn't just read numbers off a page. They showed how that level wrecks your judgment, motor skills, and memory, classic signs of a blackout, not a seizure. Point blank, they said the foggy memory was no medical mystery. It was old school textbook intoxication. Next, The jury was handed the cold, unblinking security cam footage from that day. They saw for themselves. The SUV barreling forward, no brakes, not even a twitch of panic. Data from the car's black box backed it up, accelerator floored, brake pedal untouched. An accident? Not a chance. Medical emergency? Not the story those numbers were telling. But what truly broke the court's heart was the live testimony from survivors, the parents who found themselves crawling through that wreckage, hunting for their children in the chaos. Their voices, the raw, wrenching pain, they made it real for everyone in that room. They made sure the memory of two little kids stayed front and center, never just another detail in a legal battle. When the jury went out to deliberate, you could feel that tension across the whole town. When they came back, the silence was total. The charges? Second-degree murder guilty. Operating while intoxicated, causing death guilty. Causing serious injury guilty on every single count. The defense story was demolished. The evidence and the voices of the survivors carried the day. Sentencing was the last stop. The children's mother stood at the front, her words cut straight through. She spoke for Alana and Zane, for every empty chair and every future memory never made. Nobody in that courtroom could forget it. The judge listened close, reviewed everything, and dropped the gavel. 20 to 50 years. For Marcella, at 66, that was life. But for the families, nothing brings their children back. The real sentence is every day they must live without them, a loss no court can ever fix. And that, folks, is the hardest truth of all. Behind every reckless choice, it's always real people who end up paying the price.